What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Rare Books USA YouTube channel. This is a subsidiary of Data Productions Media. So if you like this channel and you want to learn more about the other videos and other content I do, please go check out my main channel, Data Productions Media. And I have other channels you can check out as well. It's going to be in the link in the description below. But thank you for coming in today. It's going to be a doozy. We have Rare Books USA online sales monthly report, November 2025. And so this has been a good one. This has been a good month for us. This is Q4. And so in the retail business, in the business that we're in, the last 3 months of the year is because of the holidays, sales pick up. And thankfully, I have felt the influence of holiday sales, which we'll get into. But you know, to kickstart everything off, I like to christen it with gematria. As you know, you can learn more about that on my main channel, Data Productions Media. But art sales, antique and vintage books, that equals 333 in English ordinal. Very powerful right there. And book reseller equals 137 in English ordinal, which is the 33rd prime, which means 137 can only be divided by 137 in itself, and it's the 33rd one in its line. A little bit of numerology for you guys. But Rare Books USA's eBay, Etsy, and whatnot stores are subsidiaries of Data Productions Media. We have earnings report style monthly updates, tracking sales, expenses, and future business advancements. So this is going to be a little bit more of a quicker one today. We'll go over everything per usual. But you know, since a little bit later, we'll try to just get in and get out with this one. The 2025 forward guidance to start the year was $25,000 of revenue. So starting the year at the end of 2024, my goal was, you know, if I could make $25,000 off eBay, which is the only store I had at that point, it'd be a really good year. About halfway through the year, with me still doing eBay, me going full time, and me just starting my Etsy platform, I decided to update my forward guidance for 2025 to $30,000 in revenue. And so I've kept it the same at $30,000 in revenue. I didn't want to increase it because I want to leave some meat on the bone for 2026. But as you'll see in the numbers, we've already surpassed the updated forward guidance of $30,000 by a couple thousand already, and we have a month left. So with that being said, let's get into the monthly report. This is, again, I'm sorry, this is for November 2025. It's just been a long month. So this is November 2025, and you can see the reports as well. And so with eBay, we had a really good month, $4,282.98. So that was awesome. We sold 130 items. The average sale price was $32.95, almost $33. That's awesome to see. When you're looking at Etsy, well, let's backtrack a little bit. So the active listings on eBay. So the goal, if you remember what happened in October 2025, last month's live stream, the goal was to get the 5,000 listings before Halloween. That I didn't do that. Life just got busy. So then the next goal was get to 5,000 listings on eBay and 500 listings on Etsy before Black Friday. And so that was a goal I set out, and I finally achieved that. And I did get to 5,000 on eBay well before Black Friday. So that's awesome. And same thing for Etsy. I'm at 565. So I smoked through 500 listings on Etsy. And I do want to make the difference. I'm not cross-listing on any of my platforms. What you see on eBay is all eBay inventory. What you see on Etsy is all Etsy inventory. There's no cross listing that way. I cross-pollinate my brands, and that's why I have business cards and such. But inventory is all specific to that platform, and that's a big difference. I want people to understand as we keep going forward and when you look at different business models and stuff. And remember, this is for November 2025, not October. So for Etsy, I had revenue of 387.67 for the month. And then for whatnot, I've been picking up the pace on it. I've been doing shows every Tuesday consistently. You know, rain, shine. If I sell one item, if I sell 10 items, I'm going to be on Tuesday. That's the goal. Just consistency. Pick a time when I know I can be on instead of worrying about all these different, I can try this out, I can do that. For me, I like to have systems in place. I like to build the train tracks, and I like doing things that are within my capabilities that I know I can do. So every Tuesday I'm on Whatnot doing shows. I have a big show, magic and metaphysical show coming up this Tuesday to start December off. So hopefully we can get even more sales during Christmas time. And so when you add all that up, the month was about $4,848.65. So I'm really close to that goal of $5,000 of revenue in a month. That's one of the larger goals I have for myself in the short, medium, near term that I've had for a good while, is get to that $5,000 revenue mark. And so I'm close. Obviously, I'm getting some help from the holiday season, but at the same time, I've been growing my store a bunch. I've been, not only do I have eBay now, I have Etsy, I have Whatnot. So I have 3 platforms, 3 engines that are pushing money into that total now, and it's only picking up. Even with my eBay store, I'm still picking up at 5,000 listings. Yeah, I want to get to 10,000, and I'm going to get to 10,000, but it's going to be different. It's going to be higher end books, more average sale price type things. That's going to get me to that number instead of just volume. So the first 5,000, it was always quality for sure. It's Rare Books USA. It's always quality, but it was volume. Get the volume in the store, get out there, get the tentacles out there. So now I have that. I have a good base, and I'm still growing, but now I want the value. I have over, 100, close to $150,000 in total value in my store with all my books or all my items. Let's get that to, 500,000. Do I get there next year with that? Probably not, but could I double my value with better books? Yeah. So that's the goal, to get me to higher revenue numbers. And then so the linear forward guidance, this year thus far, I've made $33,854.86 in 11 months. So if we, divide that out by 11, right? And then we times that by 12, if I have an average month next month in December, that should put me at $36,932.57. So I'm looking at $37,000 in revenue sales this year, which, frankly, that's what I made in my day job. That's what I was making in my day job. So I've pretty much replaced my day job, full-time day job salary in under a year. Full-time. I was part-time to start the year, but I didn't go full-time till like April, May. And so to put out that, it's awesome to see, and it's only growing, so that's awesome. So 6,000 to 7,000 over forward guidance. And we're going to leave some meat on the bone for next year, and you guys will be surprised at what I believe I can knock out next year revenue wise. I'm going to still be, reasonable, but I'm not going to be as conservative with my guidance. I'm going to try to push myself because I know what I'm capable of. So we'll see what we end the year at. So around 37,000. That's what we're at. For the year on eBay, about 32,000 right now, $500 on Whatnot, and I reached over $1,000 on Etsy So that's picking up, and I'm really excited for what Etsy's going to do for my business in 2026. Very excited. So now let's look into the financials up to this point through November 30th. The assets, they really haven't changed too much. The cash has kind of stayed the same, but I do want to bring up, and we'll bring it up in my net income now with my income statement, my profit and loss, how I account, how I do my numbers is on the conservative side, because I think it makes me work a little bit harder and to really make sure I'm doing the right things with my business, right? And so how I do my income statement is, yes, when you buy books, they are assets. You buy the books as assets. They don't become an expense until they are sold, right? So once one of your books is sold, it then becomes an expense. So if you buy a book for $3, it sells for 50. Now that asset becomes an expense of $3, right? And so that's an important distinction when it comes to accounting, doing your finances, taxes, and stuff. But for the specific purposes of cash flow and making sure I'm not burning through cash, I don't designate books as assets until the very end of the year, before tax season. And so what that means is my general expenses, which is $13,000, that's all books I bought this year, essentially, right? That's all asset buys. So I've spent a lot of money on books this year. 2/3 of my revenue has come from the books, but again, they're assets. So technically they're not real expenses until they're sold. But that does affect my net income. And so my net income right now is negative 943.90. Because my gross profit's 21,000, my operating expenses is 22,000, right? So it's about 1,000 off. But when it comes at the end of the year, I'm gonna calculate what my true expenses are with my books. I'm gonna take the books I have not sold out and actually designate them as assets. And then that's when the numbers look a lot prettier. And that's more or less when it comes to taxes, and you want to show the government that you're making money. And technically, I am, right? I'm just buying assets to be sold later. So technically, my business is running at a profitable rate. It just doesn't show on a daily basis how I do the calculations myself. Now, what do we need to worry about moving forward? So now I have my car payment that's going to be in the mix for my cash flow. And so, that's going to be $450 a month. So now that's going to be weighing on my income statement. So that's why it's important that I continue to rise up my revenue and to offset that. And so if you look right here, my cash runway, number of days until you reach zero balance, if cash is received and spent as projected, is 7 months. And that's because last month in October, it said I was well positioned. I was well cashed. I was until my car payment hit. So now I have to make sure I'm doing all the right things to keep my revenue rising. So I don't run out of cash. And so that's just part of the process, right? My cash buffer, number of days until you reach zero balance. If no more cash is received, is 3 months, right? So if I don't make another dollar, I'll run out of cash in 3 months. And so when I look at those, yeah, they're notable, but you also have to understand one thing. It's like, I have separate cash in the background in different accounts, not specifically towards my book business, right? You know, I have my own savings, my own investments and stuff that, you know, I will pull towards if my business needs it. But the goal is to operate at a level, pure book business, you know, be able to run by itself. And we're on the path to that. So, you know, I might put a little more cash in just as a buffer, but I'm really close to having enough revenue to just be able to run by itself. And that's not counting that, you know, I did take out some eBay capital and I'm finally eating at the principal for that. So, you know, eBay's been taking, or, you know, their loan officer's been taking 20% a month from my sales. So where am I at in my net income once I get that back? Because, you know, I wanted to use that to keep my own cash on hand, but to pay for my car. And so hopefully, you know, if you have any questions about that, you know, I love, you know, talking about finances and stuff like that. So overall, you know, financially, I'm in a really good place. Obviously I can't stop working at it. I can't stop growing. That's an issue if I stop growing the business, but you know, cash runway, 7 months. If my revenue continues to rise, that's only going to get better. That's only going to elongate out. Cash buffer. You know, if I continue to lower my expenses, raise my revenue, and bring more home, you know, that's going to get better. So that's where the business is at right now. Overall, you know, we're good. 2026 is going to be a good year for us, and we'll see where that goes.